Welcome to Let's Talk About Love Stories from Everywhere. I'm your host, Jill Ferguson, and today I have an amazing guest, Michelle Hanton, who is coming to us from Australia. Where in Australia are you?
Okay, so I'm in Queensland, and I
Oh,
live
okay.
on a little I live on a little island. It's called Bribie Island,
Mhm.
and it's the only island connected to the mainland of Australia by a bridge.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you guys all pray that that bridge never goes out, right?
Oh, yeah. When there's an accident on that bridge, there is a huge delay. I mean, it's only a short bridge,
Yeah,
but yeah, for
nice.
sure.
So you have been described as an award-winning internationalist, a strategist, and a mentor who pioneered breast cancer dragon boating. There is so much to unpack in just that description. um, what exactly, for people that don't know, is an internationalist first?
So, an internationalist is somebody who has grown up all over the world
Okay.
and isn't particularly, one place or the other. Home is, in your heart and where your family is, and that's me. So,
Okay. And what awards have you won? It's probably
oh,
the list is long.
oh gosh, quite a different number, quite a large number. So, I guess they began when I was at school. That was a very long time ago.
Yeah.
But business awards, businesswoman of the year, master sports person of the year, Australian of the Year finalists. Yeah, just a whole variety. But it's not about the awards. And I guess the biggest thing was receiving the Order of Australia
Yeah.
from Her Majesty the Queen in recognition of my work for women's health and advocating for breast cancer awareness. So that would have been the beginning. But I always say it's not the award, it's what you do before, obviously. We don't
Yeah.
set out to win awards. And also afterwards, the after is really important because you can't just sit back. You have to keep moving forward and you have to use it for good. And some of the awards actually are good for opening doors that you can
Yeah.
get through and,
Well,
promote whatever it
and
is.
that's an excellent point too, right? Because a lot of people see like the award itself as the final destination as opposed to the whole journey
Absolutely.
of your life and what you're doing during that. And I love the fact that you're a lot like I am in the fact that you're a multi-hyphenate kind of entrepreneurial person. um, and you worked on an ambulance, right, with an ambulance service. You've taught English in Spain. You've been a CEO. You've founded a nonprofit. um,
Yep.
yeah. And what is breast cancer dragon boating?
Okay, so breast cancer dragon boating, it actually began in Canada with
Okay.
it was a sports medicine physician called Dr. Don McKenzie. He pioneered this work, basically to show that the thinking was way back when, over 30 years ago, that once you had a diagnosis, that was it. You go home, you wrap yourself in cotton wool, and you can't do anything physical. And the study was to prove that repetitive upper body exercise did not cause lymphedema. But more importantly than that, the discovery was, quite by chance, the enormous psychosocial impact that it had on those who participated and who took part. And back in those early days, it was a phenomenon that inspired women, inspired their families. It helped bring the spotlight onto breast cancer and the fact that there's a lot of good living to do after that diagnosis. And the early detection, obviously, is your very best protection.
And what set you down this path?
Well, I was diagnosed with breast cancer myself. That's what set me
Yeah.
down that path. And I was young when I was diagnosed. And all I knew was that women died and there was no light at the end of the tunnel. And as I went through my treatment, I heard about this movement that had begun in Canada, and I was inspired. It was positive, it was inspirational. And so I set about making it happen here in Australia. And from there, it's, we've been to Europe. We got the group going there with my Canadian counterparts. And yeah, and it's still very much, even though here in the Western world, we are very aware, there are still many countries where there's a lot of work still to be done in terms of awareness.
Yeah. And women's health in general. I mean, not just breast
Absolutely.
cancer, because women's
Correct.
health has been one of the most underfunded things across the globe.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And the
it's
thing is,
crazy.
I think, every cause is a good cause, but when you have been through something yourself or a very close family member, you become extremely passionate about it. And
Yeah.
that makes you, with the education behind you, it makes you a really great advocate, because you can speak
Mm.
from the heart, and you can also speak with knowledge that unless you push the agenda, it's just going to fade into the background.
Well, and it's so important. I think you just kind of touched on it without saying it, right? Of instead of acting like the victim of whatever it is challenge that you've just had, right? Becoming an authority on it, which is a very different mindset. It's very different energy around it, very different psychology around it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I was very fortunate that it was back in those days, there was a lot of funding and a lot of training for women to become advocates, to have the National Health and Medical Research Council funded us to be trained. So we actually knew what we were doing, in the sense that we spoke with conviction, we spoke with facts behind us,
Mhm.
and we were able to be effective lobbyists.
Yeah. And that's really important, especially in today where we're faced with so much mis and disinformation, right? And sometimes it's just flat out lies that is couched as the truth. Um, and a lot of it is around health, right? We have all kinds of crazy cures floating around social media for all kinds of different things.
We
Um,
sure do.
yeah, and so I think that's really important to stick to the scientific research behind it, and to uh, you know for people to advocate for the truth and
Yeah,
for
and it's
the
really
facts.
hard.
So,
Sometimes it's really hard to find the truth,
yeah,
because in this age that we live in, with AI, with social media, as you say, with Dr. Google,
yeah,
it's almost impossible if you haven't got that awareness of how to delve, to find the real truth behind it.
yeah, and understand what sources are credible.
Yes, because people prey on your fears.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I remember back when I used to be a professor, we would always teach students, like, Wikipedia should not be one of your primary sources. Like, if you're going to look for something, look for, yeah, a government, well, the National Institutes of Health, or the UK or Australian equivalent of that, and look
Yeah,
for major research universities for to be one of your sources, and the quality of information that you're getting, and how to
definitely.
evaluate that information. 'Cause,
Yeah.
yeah, there's too much that isn't out there. So why a dragon boat as opposed to like a canoe or kayaking or
Okay, so why? So we go back to the beginning, that
yeah.
it was a study,
Mhm.
a clinical trial, if you like. And the beauty of a dragon boat is you actually get 20 paddlers in there, whereas a
Oh
kayak
yeah.
or a canoe,
Yeah.
it's a lot less people. So you have a bigger group
Okay.
um, to study. So that was
Mhm.
way back then, and the connectedness that happens
Yeah.
as a result of that is quite fabulous.
So it's building community.
It's building
Yeah.
community, and then, like where I live now, I started the Dragon Boat Club here 3 years ago, and it has grown from basically nothing to now there are, I think, close to 170 plus members in 3 years, from
Wow.
across the community, of all different age brackets. So I think the youngest is 12 and the eldest is 85. So it really is a sport for all. in the sense that you have the elite level athletes who wear the green and gold of Australia and they represent the country at international events and championships. But then you have the community level where you can just come, get in the boat. If you're not particularly fit to start off with, it doesn't matter because you carried along. It's not like running or even a walking group, for instance. If you need to stop and rest, you'll be sitting on that park bench while the rest of the walkers go off and pick you up on the way back kind of thing. But in a dragon boat, you can stop, you can pull your paddle out, and you carry it along with the boat. And when you feel up to it, you jump back in again. So there's a lot of great things about it. It is quite a unique sport.
So, and how does it differ from rowing? Like the
fundamental difference, dragon boaters go forward where paddlers and rowers go back. They can't see where they're going.
That's wonderful. That's a wonderful distinction. I mean,
forward.
Yeah. Because I've seen the pictures, right, with the gold dragon on the front and all that. Yeah. But it's like, beside, I wanted a little more than that. Than just,
absolutely. And it's a different technique. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. And so you founded a dragon boat club or nonprofit.
I founded a movement in Australia called Dragons Abreast Australia. That is a registered charity and not for profit, and it is in every state and territory of this country. I think there are around 2,000 members, all post breast cancer diagnosis, and their supporters.
Wow.
So it's a way, it just began in a little tiny way and it caught on because it was that, like we said at the beginning, it's that positivity, that connection with others who've been through the same journey and come out the other side. And the reality is you have that instant connection with others and when you come in, you are fragile and often quite broken, lacking in confidence. And as time goes by, that confidence builds. And some of the women have gone on post-diagnosis. They're living full and active lives. They've represented their country in mainstream teams. They compete for their place just alongside anybody else. So the breast cancer does not define them.
That's wonderful. And we've been talking mainly about women, but the fact of the matter is that men get breast cancer too.
They do. And we have male survivors. Not so many in the organisation, but they are definitely there. So
and I feel like there's I don't know whether it's true or not, but it feels to me like there's just this like weird little stigma attached to a male who ends up with breast cancer, right? Because they're in a minority.
They are
in the breast cancer thing, and
it's very challenging for them.
Yeah,
and some of the males that I know have said, when they go for treatment, when they're diagnosed and they go for treatment, there is often the assumption that they are the supporter and their wife or partner is actually the patient. So it's a huge thing to get over, and people don't realize males do have breast tissue. So,
and I feel like there's not as much of a support structure for them as there is. I mean, women have fought hard to get their support structure in this for this kind of diagnosis, but I feel like there's one area where maybe the males are lagging behind a little.
They definitely are. They definitely are. We have one male here in our club, my present club, and he's a great advocate, but we definitely need more males to advocate and push that message.
So you also wrote a book, right, called International Breast Exercises Medicine?
Yes.
Right? Did I have the title Internationally
Abreast Exercises Medicine. Yes.
And so that was inspired from this whole experience, or
it was. So I co-wrote with my Canadian counterpart, Eleanor Nielsen, based in Toronto. She was the founder of the breast cancer dragon boat movement in Toronto. So we collaborated, and it was during the time of COVID pretty much. And we decided that we were getting older. It had been many years since our diagnosis. We needed to document the stories of how the different groups around the world began, and the connections to Abreast in the Boat, which is the founding group in Vancouver. So we were very blessed to be able to work with some amazing people across the globe, and with Jane Frost, who was one of the original women who got in that boat as part of the study. You know, those women were so brave because they didn't know what the results were going to be. And that was wonderful that we were able to capture all of that. And Jane passed away recently. So having that legacy from her became so important, doubly so. Yeah.
So where is your book available if people want to?
Now it is available on Amazon. It's available a bunch of different places. I'll send you a link. And
Okay.
Yeah,
We can put that in the show notes. Yeah,
that would be great.
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about the work that you have done in the past and what it's led to you doing now. Because you do mentorship and you work as a strategist, and what does that mean? Yeah.
So I guess you could say that everything I have gone through in my life has put me in the position where I am today. And life, I look at it, it's one big journey, we are constantly learning. And one of the things that I believe in very firmly is education, and the power of education, formal and informal, to change circumstances and to widen our thinking through travel and through experiences. So when I grew up, we lived all over the world. My father worked for the United Nations. He was a diplomat. And then when I came to Australia, obviously it was a new country. I needed to make new friends, etc. So I began.
Where were you born?
I was born in Malaysia.
Okay.
I went to the UK when I was 18 months old. We moved to the Middle East, to Jerusalem, when I was 2. And we've lived in India, Pakistan, Nairobi, Kenya.
You really have been all over the world.
So many different places.
Yeah.
And I just grew up thinking that was normal.
Yeah.
Because, you don't know any different.
Yeah.
And it is only as I've got older that I realize how much those experiences have shaped me. And I brought that, I guess you could say, maybe as a result of it. So there's 2 things that happen. Some people just want to stay put and be in one place, whereas me, I probably had itchy feet because of that upbringing. And so change to me was something that I'm very comfortable with.
Yeah.
So that's why I started my career working in the world of private banks in London.
Okay.
I moved to Australia. I worked for the Northern Territory government. I then became an ambulance officer for a few years until, my kids came along and the shift work didn't suit. And then I started my own business, and I've worked for myself for many, many years. And as a strategist, what that is taking that holistic pictures and looking at, this is the goal, how do we get there, what strategies do we put in place? And I didn't realize at first that I actually had those talents, but more people were asking me to help with them. And I guess the foundation of Dragons Abreast, that charity, brought all those skills together because it was something that had never been done. We had a lot of challenges to get through, and I used all those skills to make it happen. And the organization is now, I think it's 27 years old. So from there, it kind of channeled me into different areas where I was able to use different skills. And then once my daughter finished university, I thought, I want to go back to live in Europe. And at that point, my language skills, my European language skills, were not good enough to work. So what could I do? Again, taking that strategic approach, I had that 5-year plan. I decided to train as an English teacher, to teach English as a second language.
Okay.
I did that while working full time.
Mhm.
And one of the blessings was I worked with refugees coming into Australia and new migrants who didn't speak a word of English. That was my training ground, and it was at the Melaleuca Centre in Darwin. And from there, I got a job in Spain. And
So
I call
that's really a sink or swim situation, right? Like you have to figure
that's
it
what I
out. If
call
you,
my sabbatical year, if you like.
yeah,
An older sabbatical year, but that was what I did. And then I came back. While I was in Spain, I had the luxury of time because they work very differently. You know, you have kind of,
yeah.
you work in the morning, you have the big siesta, you work in the evening. I had a lot of time. I was able to focus more on my writing. And that's where I now focus these days. I still do a little bit of strategic planning and
Are you
facilitation.
still running your organization, or do you have a? You
No,
have
no,
a. Okay.
I stepped away from that.
Yeah.
Because the other thing, Jill, is I do believe you shouldn't sit in the seat for too long. You need to always have people coming along with fresh ideas, fresh perspectives, and it's important not to create a dependency. The sign to me, of success is being able to walk away and the organization continue to flourish, because it's a fact that many organizations do. And before I stepped away, I actually had a consultation with a wonderful woman who was an expert in these things. And she said, many organizations do not last 5 years beyond the departure of the founder. And I didn't want that to happen.
Mhm.
You know, it cannot be about one person.
Well,
You
and
have to pass that down.
and there's so much ego tied to that, right? Where it's almost like even if you, not you, but even if people say they want their organization or their business to succeed them, that
Mhm.
they also feel better when it's struggling when they're not there, right? It's this weird human thing, right? That it's like, oh, well, they needed me. Like
Yeah,
there's some kind of
yeah.
validation in that, because there's so many people that once they retire or semi-retire, they're lost because their identity has been so tied to the thing that they did the whole time.
Yes, yes, that is true. And there are some things, for instance, I will never escape that label, if you like.
Mhm.
Not that I want
Yeah,
to escape it, but that is part of who I am.
yeah.
And I'm always there if needed. You
Mhm.
know, I can be asked questions, which used to happen more in the early days, but not so much now. The organisation has evolved, has changed. The
Yeah.
same with the club here. I was the founding president. I sat in the chair for 3 years, and in September I handed it over to the new president. We collaborate. She asks questions when she is unsure, and that's a great relationship. But now she's pretty much got her wings and is
Mm.
off. And that's what to me, it's got to be about, which kind of leads into the mentoring side of
Mhm.
things. To be able to help, particularly women, I work with women over 40,
Mhm.
to help them understand that it is more than just here and now. This is about your legacy.
And do you think they, I mean, understand that beyond like some women attach their legacy to their kids, right, or their grandkids? And I think part of that societal conditioning, but
Definitely.
yeah, but but having a legacy that exceeds beyond the family unit.
Yes, yes. I think, some people, different people want different things in life, and
Mhm.
whatever you choose is perfectly fine. Um, I think it's very important. And I always say to everybody, family first, that's my priority.
Mhm.
And if you need to cancel something because of family or unexpected things happen, well, you need to be there.
Yeah.
If you have
Mhm.
that kind of family relationship. That is why I moved to Bribey Island, because my father was aging and needed care, and we resolved that we were going to look after him as a family. So we all moved here rather than have him in a home.
Mhm.
And so that is very much dependent on the individual. So some women don't have families. They just have their job. And like you alluded to earlier, when you retire, it can be very, very difficult. And that's why having a part of being the strategist and being the mentor, it blends really well together. So when I'm talking to these kind of clients, it's about, this is where you want to be. What is it going to take to get you there? But more importantly, what's that end look like?
Yeah.
You know, rather than, hey, I'm retired, now what do I do? Let's think about it. Let's think about it 5 years out.
I think there's also a not only what does it look like, but what do you want it to feel like?
Definitely.
Because that's the part that, like, so my husband retired a few years ago. And because he worked in a career that was, he traveled all over the world all the time, and it was go, 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 and super high stress, right? It took him a good 2.5 years to recover. He almost like he had PTSD once he was done, because he got off the roller coaster, right? And then he didn't know how to process it all and what to do with it. And I think that so many people find themselves, even if they're thinking about retiring, like they're not understanding what it's going to feel like once they've actually gotten there.
Yes.
And how that feeling changes over the course of the first year or two.
You are so right. And it really does come down to understanding that it's okay to say, actually, I don't want this.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
I don't want this. I've changed my mind. Because when you are on that roller coaster, you don't have time to really just be in the moment and think. So I'm a big advocate of writing things down. Write it down, make it real, journal it, put it, dump it all, and come back to it and look at it a year later or whatever, and see, does this still fit?
Mm-hmm.
And what usually happens, in my experience, is what we want is quite broad brush.
Mm-hmm.
How it looks and how it feels, that's the detail that changes. But what we want tends to stay the same. The big picture of what we want, you know, and what we want, whether it's to travel the world, whether it's, I don't want to travel anymore, I just want to stay at home, whether it's to be mortgage free, whether it's to have a certain type of lifestyle. They're so different, and there's no one size fits all.
Well, and I think sometimes we also get tied into, we understand what we want and we think that we have one path to get there.
No,
and it turns out when life starts throwing curveballs at you, there's all different kinds of paths to get to what you want.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Which goes back to that change and flexibility thing.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. It's really, and I think it's interesting, and I can say this now with the benefit of hindsight, but the older you get, the more important it is that you have that time, that thinking time, that when we are younger, it's like that is in the distance. But those years just fly by. And I always remember my grandma, she used to say, oh, you know, the years go so fast from one Christmas to the other. I was much younger then. And I used to think, she's crazy. And now I find I'm doing the same thing. I'm just saying they are flying past. So my thing is always about, we have to live in the moment. We have to understand that today is what we have. Make the most of it. Sure, have some plans, but don't just put everything on hold for over there, for that future, because we don't know what tomorrow's going to bring.
Yeah. And that future isn't guaranteed.
That's exactly right. And that would be the biggest lesson that I learned as a result of my diagnosis. And I've been very blessed to have that opportunity when I was so much younger to actually look mortality in the face and go, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And that changed my pathway completely.
And And have you remained cancer free this?
Oh, touch wood. I've
Okay.
had lots. I've had lots of scares. Like, anyone who's been through that diagnosis, it's something that you live with the rest of your life, and go for mammograms every year, etc. And around me, women are constantly having recurrence. But the key is being aware,
Yeah.
and knowing that you have to be vigilant. And with a bit of luck, I will hopefully continue to be fortunate.
Yeah. Yeah. But you've made it along. I mean, they usually do the 5-year and then the 10-year, right,
Yeah,
anniversary, and you've made it way past those. And
I have. Yes, I have.
yeah.
I have. And, I'm thankful every day for those opportunities.
And so you said you're doing writing. Is it personal writing, or are you writing another book, or?
So lots of different writing projects.
Mhm.
I have been asked to write my memoir.
Okay.
I have resisted that for the last 20 years. But this is the year I'm going to do it.
Okay.
So it is in the start stages.
And are you working with a publisher on it, or you're just in
No,
okay,
just
you're just in the early stages?
just in the very early stages, because when I was originally asked by a publisher some years back, I said, no, I'm not ready to do that.
Yeah.
No, I'm not ready to do that. And I think what I do put out is going to be completely different, because my life with breast cancer is so public, and what I've done has all been in that public eye. But really, it's more about what the earlier years that have formed me and my family. So I'm planning to collaborate with my mother, who has a very interesting story to tell. She's 87 years old now, so we need to get these things down. And so what it's going to look like.
Are you talking to her and recording?
You know how these things are. They have a life of their own.
Absolutely. And I've worked with lots and lots of clients on memoirs, so it's good to get her recording, talking about the stories that she wants to include and stuff, and audio record those.
Yeah. So we have quite a lot gathered over the years. But now's the time to kind of go, okay, let's put it all together. And her birthday, she'll be 88 in July, the end of July. So I've kind of given myself a bit of a deadline, but I would like to have a first draft by then.
That's exciting. That's so exciting.
It is exciting. So,
and will this be your mom's first book?
Yes. Yeah. And she just has wanted to put things down for the family, and my daughter has always asked questions, and now my niece, they're both, adult women. My daughter recently got married, and they're curious about the family and the history. And I know from my own work with other authors that this kind of knowledge to be passed down is, like we talk about, that legacy. It's information that disappears once that person is no longer here, and we need to capture them. So even if it is not sold beyond full circle.
Well, one of my grandmothers, I bought her one of those kind of journals with the questions that she could fill out, and it was about family history. And she told me, and my mother, she's like, I'm not doing this. I'm taking all that to the grave. And that was that. And so literally when I bought it probably 20 years before she died, or 25 years before she died.
Yeah. And
we found it empty, not a single word written in.
Oh dear.
But it's like, you're the people that come after you want to see that, right? They want to know where they came from, not just beyond the normal DNA stuff, but
they do. Yeah. And also, we live now in such a rapidly changing world. What my mother grew up with and what she experienced traveling with my dad all of I'm thinking, just the other day about letters. She has letters. I have letters. Um, I don't think letters really exist much nowadays because it's all on an email.
Yeah.
And it's just not the same as when you find these old letters and you read them and they tell you so much.
Yeah.
Because there's no backspace delete, cut and paste. It was scratch it out and
Well, those are from a time period, right, where it was super expensive to make international calls to people.
yeah.
So
If you had a phone.
if you had a phone, yeah. So people didn't do it as much. I mean, I remember those days where I'd call a different country and, it was $1 or whatever a minute, and you made sure your calls were short.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, definitely. We used to when I first came to Australia, it was the same. And I'd call my parents, but like you say, it was very short.
Yeah.
You needed to know what you wanted to say.
And then from there we went to Skype, and it was a lot cheaper over the internet. But now it's like it's almost free, pretty much, whether we use a system like this or even the international phone calls on our cell phones barely cost anything anymore.
Well, that's right. I think WhatsApp is free.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
Nice.
and yet that's totally foreign to somebody who is, in their 20s.
Yeah.
They have no clue. And my daughter she's just turned 31. She's quite fascinated by all these things. I remember her saying to me many years ago when she was little, Mom, what kind of videos did you like to watch when you were my age? I'm going, there were no videos. We were lucky to have a TV.
Yeah.
So, it's just.
And the world it changes so fast. Things change so fast.
Yeah. It does.
Yeah.
And, back to the old paper and pen and hard copy books.
Yeah.
They are so valuable. We recently had a power outage for 3 days, no power. Oh my gosh. So no phones, no internet, no electricity.
Yeah.
Wow.
You can't recharge your Kindle or your iPad.
Nope.
Yep.
So the hard copies, very valuable, and the old-fashioned way of doing things.
Yeah. Other things we now take for granted. Yes.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Do you have any advice for any of our listeners or anything else you want to leave them with?
So what I would leave you with and say to anybody is don't wish your life away. Live for today. And happiness is inside you. It's not external. It's not what you own. It's not what you buy. It's not that next great thing. It is within you. And if you're having trouble finding it, look for a way, because there is a way. There is always a way that there is that solution for you. It will be different for everybody.
Yeah.
Don't compare, because that is the thief of joy, comparison.
Absolutely, it is. Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate you spending the time with me and taking some time out of your morning.
Oh, thanks for the opportunity. It's always good to connect.
It's always wonderful to connect with you.
Thanks, Jill.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. See ya. Bye.
Bye.